Welcome to Frequels. I'm your host, EJ Leeson. This is a podcast brought to you by two weird dudes who love cinema, movies, and all the goofiness about them. I'm your host, EJ, and with me today is my friend, my co-host with the most, Rory Colarossi. How's it going, man?
Going great. How about you?
Things are great. Doing really well.
Yeah?
I just did music trivia the other night, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It was me, Daryl, Chris, a bunch of our friends that no one knows, and then, but we were doing trivia, and it was awesome. And one of the questions, it was really funny. It was a Cure song. They're like, they play like a little bit of it, and they're like, guess the song, right? And so they played a quick clip, and I was like, oh, that's close to me, right? By The Cure. They're like, are you sure it's not Footloose? I'm like, you know how many proms I went to? One, and I know this song.
I hung out outside.
Yeah. But no, but other than that, yeah, no, nothing too crazy. Just being a certified goofball. How about you?
I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to doing this with you.
Oh, me too. Dude,
Just
when you pitched this idea of us just doing a podcast talking about movies and movies we love and just kind of like joking about them, I was like, yeah, count me in.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of that on the internet. Not nearly enough people out there just talking about movies.
Yeah, not enough podcasts out
No,
there.
not at all. I don't think it's going to take off either.
Yeah, this is a medium that is just not doing well.
No.
No one wants to do it.
But now old-time radio, that's killing
That's where it's at. No. AM radio. Just get us on.
NPR.
Yeah. Yeah. Just old school. But so today we're talking about a movie that just came out this year, and it's a sequel to a beloved franchise. I would say so, right?
Yeah.
I would say
and
like,
this was
within
like
the horror community.
Yeah, it's one of the top C's. People love it. And it was like a perfect thing for us to talk about because we both generally liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we also found a bunch of stuff in it that we thought would be fun to goof on.
Yeah.
Lovingly, not like being cynical jerks or anything like that.
Right. It was just, like, we saw stuff and we're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you want to tell them what the movie is today?
Yeah, I would love to. We're going to be talking to you guys about Evil Dead Rise.
Yes.
Just came out this year. So if you're listening to this 10 years from now, what I just said is going to be completely outdated. But so just to kind of give you an idea what the movie is about, music superstars Kat Valdez and Bastion are getting married before a global audience of fans. But when Kat learns seconds before her vows that Bastion has been unfaithful, she instead decides to marry Charlie, a stranger in the crowd.
I'm not sure we watched the same movie.
What?
Yeah, Evil Dead Rise.
Jennifer Lopez?
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Did you watch that Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Lopez?
I think it was... No, it was Owen Wilson.
It was Owen Wilson?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't watch the right thing. So this is going to be a drag. I'm sorry.
No, so today we're talking about Evil Dead Rise. When I met you, Rory, we both quickly bonded over Star Wars, but then we started talking about horror movies, and that's when I was like, oh my God, he's one of us. Google Gabo. He's one of us. But yeah, because up until that point,
later that night by EJ. And...
yeah. But up until that point, there was like one other person, and luckily I was already friends with him, Adam, that loved horror movies to the extent that I found myself where I was like, loved it.
Which is crazy because the first time we went to a convention, it was like an Evil Dead reunion, but like without Bruce Campbell, which is kind of a bummer. But we got to meet the Scotty and the ladies of the Evil Dead, as they put it out there.
Yeah. So there's definitely a weird history with us and Evil Dead. I'm such a huge fan. I actually own a piece of the cabin from Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Like I bought it because I was just like, oh my God, I gotta get this. So yeah.
Can I ask you something personally?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to be okay to talk about Evil Dead considering what happened last year? So a lot of you out there might not know this, but EJ actually made the news last year because he innocently decided to read the Necronomicon at a daycare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this?
It ended well.
Ish.
Well-ish. There was maybe like 3 or 4 kids out of 50 that survived, but it was good. It was a good time.
And the ones who survived are now in timeout for the foul language.
They were actually arrested with manslaughter.
Although to be fair, I don't think it was entirely your fault. I mean,
no.
The whole
it was story time.
Yeah.
And that was the book I chose.
Yeah, and I mean it was Fisher Price's fault really because it's like Fisher Price presents baby's first Necronomicon.
Yeah, and who knew? You know what I mean? Like. You would just say the words, and I pronounced them all correctly the first time.
I know. Yeah. So,
and the kids
but
were
you're
pumped.
okay talking about this.
I'll be okay.
Okay, good.
I think.
Thank you. So I wanted to know.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be okay. But yeah, let's get
Let's
to the
jump
breakdown.
in. Yeah,
let's break down this movie. So Evil Dead Rise starts off with that classic Evil Dead POV shot of it like trailing through. And I was like, oh, all right, this is cool.
We're back in the thick of it.
Yeah. So it's going through the woods, and then, eventually it gets to this lake. And it's a bit of a psych out because it turns out to be a drone and not like the Evil Dead force.
A drone that makes like demonic noises as it's moving.
Like,
well, I got what you were doing, but not entirely.
Yeah. But, so, and it introduces us to these characters. Teresa, who's like sitting there on the dock by the lake.
Both very likable.
She was likable. The guy was the coolest kid I probably ever saw in theater. So this cool kid, he's like piloting the drone and annoying that girl sitting on the dock. And then she's just trying to enjoy her book of Wuthering Heights. Shout out to that classic.
Mm-hmm.
So Teresa is there, and we find out her cousin is also with them out in the woods, and she starts to make her way. We find out she's sick, so she's about to go check in on her cousin Jess. She starts making her way to the cabin, which is really cool because it's like it reminded me of like one of those houses that we saw in Midsummer.
Well, I was gonna say that the cabin was on loan from the Ari Aster collection.
Yes. It's just like super, like very triangular. But it was like I was like, that's a cool design. I've never seen anything like that before. So she goes into this cabin, and we hear the flies. There's like the little.
And she starts talking about how like none of the friends showed up, but thankfully they all took a different trip to Camp Crystal Lake, and, and I'm sure everything will work out just fine there.
They're gonna do well there. Good for them. So her cousin, we quickly find out, is possessed, or she really loves the book Wuthering Heights because she starts citing it word for word.
Well, demons are fans of classic literature.
Yeah, they love. Yeah,
it's actually called the Book of the Dead Club.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so we see, she starts
I
citing
love this chapter.
And then she like collapses, like just randomly collapses off the bed onto the floor, and her cousin Teresa, the main character at this point, is like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then boom, Jess starts like freaking out, starts pretty much attacking her, and then going out and attacking the nameless boy out there. I don't think they ever gave him a name, did they?
Nameless boy.
Nameless boy.
That's what's in the script.
Drone boy.
Yeah.
I have Caleb. I have Bruce. I have a Danny. I have Jake, Gabriel, Scott, Mr. Fonda.
None are ringing a bell.
It's actually Nameless Boy.
Nameless boy. It's probably Drone boy.
Drone boy.
So she basically scalps the one person, Jess. Like she's like,
yeah.
And I'm like, that is amazing. So up until this point, I'm like, holy crap, this is like really cool. Like I was actually loving it. So then we get where Jess like, falls into the water, or the lake, I mean, and she rises out of the water, floating up, and then we see the like titles of the movie Evil Dead Rise like behind in the tree line, and I was like, oh my god, I am so in on this movie.
It was neat, and the one thing that jumped out at me is that like the Deadites look super cool in the daylight.
Yeah.
Even though I felt like in Evil Dead 2, they kind of established that they're like vanquished by the daylight.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever.
Well, whatever. You know,
I don't care.
New sequel, new rules. New city, new rules. So anyways, this happens, right? And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so in on this movie. And unfortunately, the movie then jumped one day earlier, which made me literally say out loud, I went, uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was like, because it started off so good, and I'm like, when it did that time jump, and you are taken out of it, you go, me specifically in theater went, uh-oh, like out loud, like, oh no.
It was like a punk rock club out of like the 1980s.
Yeah. So we jumped to one day earlier, and the scene starts at a club, and we're introduced to a guitar tech named Beth, who just tested positive for not COVID, but pregnancy.
Which again, you're just kind of like, is this an Evil Dead movie?
Yeah. Am I watching? Is this Green Room? Like, what is going on here? But
I felt bad for that guy who posted that sign on the wall that says, "Please don't write on the walls."
Yeah,
I felt bad for him.
Me too.
He felt like everybody was going to be pretty cool about that.
Yeah, and they just did not listen.
No,
they just weren't. They weren't into it.
No.
They were just like, you know what? Let's go against the grain.
Yeah.
And write on the wall.
And then they also wrote for a good time, and then they put his phone number underneath.
Yeah.
It, so
To be fair, that guy technically wrote on the wall.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know
what?
what?
He really was the trailblazer.
Yeah. He's the one that went against the grain.
Yeah.
So she tests positive for being pregnant, and which seems to be the key theme, the key theme for the rest of the movie, where
it sort of becomes like Evil Dead meets Aliens.
Well, that, but also like just motherhood. It's like basically, because we'll get to it in a little bit, but the key theme of this movie, I would say, is probably the journey of motherhood in a weird way, right?
From two different perspectives too, which is interesting.
Yeah, because we have Ellie, who is this character's sister. So Beth is the one in the club, the guitar tech, who just tested positive for being pregnant. And then we'll meet eventually her sister, who is a mother to 3 of the worst kids I've ever seen. Well, 2 of the worst. One's okay.
One of them is awesome, and 2 of them you're like, well.
So
third time's a charm.
Yeah.
As they say.
So Beth goes to pay a visit to her sister Ellie.
Real quick before we jump into that, did that building look anything at all to you like the building from Child's Play?
Oh, 100%. I was like,
I thought for a second, I'm like, is that it?
And because they're like L.A. and I'm like, is it though? And you lived in L.A. Did any building look?
No, but the thing that really jumped out at me was that there was no traffic. I'm like,
yeah.
Meh. She's like, I got on a plane and she's like, I got out of LAX and came right over here in an Uber. I'm like, in LA, you don't just come right over anywhere.
Right? Yeah.
You just like pull out and you're in traffic for the rest of your life.
And I understand there's like, this thunderstorm when it's starting, and like when she gets there, it's just downpouring rain. And I'm like,
which again, I'm like,
why
LA?
is it Chicago? Yeah, this is definitely the building from Child's Play. It looks like Chicago.
To be fair, people really do lose their mind when it rains even a little bit out.
Yeah,
in
just
Los
a
Angeles,
little bit.
So.
But yeah, that's LA for it. But you lived in LA, and that's why I was like, I have to ask, like, did this look like LA at all? I've only been there like twice, and just in the general time that I was there, there's people like literally everywhere. Like you can't like.
It looked
walk
more
and
like
walk.
South Scranton to me.
Yeah, I was like,
just
all right.
Yeah, I didn't have that LA thing to it, but
I was like, LA, fair enough. But so at the apartment, we meet the characters Ellie and her 3 kids, Danny, aka DJ Raise the Dead, Bridget, aka I want to protest something.
Well, she wants to. I have to ask you about this because I was like, I heard her say something, and then I thought she was going to elaborate on it. She's like, I need my black shirt for the Labor Day protest?
Yeah.
Like, what does she have against workers?
I don't know. Again, maybe it's motherhood. Maybe she's young. Maybe she's confusing it for.
Do you think they were just like super on the nose, like Labor Day?
Labor Day.
I don't know. I'm like, why are you protesting Labor Day? I'm like, what did that ever do to you?
What is that about? But and then the youngest child, who seems the most normal, even though she made Staffany, which is like a cut-off doll head on a pointy staff, but she's like the most normal of the three kids.
Who could have existed in like an Evil Dead movie?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That seemed very in the spirit of the
Yeah.
other two. Seem like I don't know where they came from.
Yeah, and then we also get like an introduction to some of the neighbors too. Like there's like obviously the one guy who might have like a crush on Ellie. And then you have like old man Fonda across the hall, and then the two kids.
We're gonna come back to him later.
yeah.
I got things.
We'll come back to him, and then the two kids who invite. Who do they invite? It was Bridget, right?
Bridget, yeah.
To
like
watch
we're watching
Nightmare-
Freddy.
Yeah.
Like we're watching all the Freddy movies. He's like, even the bad ones. He's like, there are no bad ones, and I'm like, I agree with that guy.
yeah. So anyways, at this point, we meet all these different characters of the apartment building. Ellie,
Wait, I'm
then,
sorry, in my note.
yeah,
First, in my notes, it says, first impression of the kids. Can't wait for them to die.
can't wait for them to. Because Danny, the first time you see Danny, he's in his room and he has his arms up, and he's like DJing, and you're like, all right, what?
Yeah, and then like. I don't know, like Bridget, they started kind of getting into like a little political area, and I'm like, that's not the franchise
That's not
for it.
Evil Dead.
No,
Yeah.
like Evil Dead is like fun for everyone. Don't bog it down with stuff.
Trying to make like certain statements, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like, which is cool. Like, don't get me wrong.
You want to open
but-
it up, that's cool, but
Yeah, it's just like a weird. We just want to see people get possessed by deadites.
yeah, man.
But anyways, yeah, Ellie ends up sending her kids out to get some pizza. And an earthquake strikes while the kids are in the parking garage returning with like the pizza. And all of a sudden, this earthquake happens and Danny finds this hole in the parking garage. So he decides to climb down it like any normal kid.
Sure.
Who
During an earthquake.
during an earthquake
It's
is
gonna
like,
crawl into the
you know
earth.
what? I'm gonna just hop into a tiny
This
little
earthquake seems like a one-off.
enclosed space.
Yeah.
That like, surely if this like earthquake happens again, this place won't sink
This
in.
is the safest place.
Yeah.
The script said there's only one earthquake.
Yeah.
I'm just reading my book.
I'm just going by the script. But Danny, he ends up climbing into this hole, and obviously
it's like a
Danny's not the
bank.
brightest bulb out of the kids. Like he seems like just a kind of a dumbass,
Sure.
right? So Danny climbs down and begins to look around the basement area, and we see like crosses and other religious like artifacts and stuff hanging from the ceiling, basically showing us, you know, oh, this bank has something. It looks like an old bank, but there's something evil down here, right? And the giant crucifix that almost falls on the Danny, like you would be like, oh, you know, that's probably a sign, Danny. But he's like, I'm gonna keep looking.
Let me ask you a question. So was this supposed to be a bank?
I think so, right?
Now,
it
here's
looked
the
like
thing.
it because there was a vault and everything.
I'm no fancy like business person, okay? In fact, I was the guy who ordered the last boilers to be lit on the Titanic. But I'm going to say this one thing. I'm fairly certain the best idea for your bank is not to have it be underground. I'm
Right.
just saying.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a great idea.
Yeah, that's what.
I don't understand what it is. Like, I
don't
was like watching the
understand
movie and I'm
the
like,
apartment building itself.
was that a
'cause
bank?
maybe it was a bank at one point. I don't understand.
I like to think there were like two guys working behind the counter.
We need the blueprints for this film. Just this building.
I picture these two guys working at the bank underground. It's like, Bill, I don't think anyone's coming in today.
I don't think anyone's gonna.
No one's going to know where we are.
But
I think Danny goes down there, and the two tellers are just like still in the same position, but as like skeletons.
Yeah, and then they're like
wearing like early 1900s clothes. That's what I want from this movie.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Instead, I got whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. So Danny's messing around, like looking, and he dusts off some stuff, and he soon discovers the Necronomicon and a couple records that are there too. Bonus. So he takes these records, and meanwhile, Bridget, like, we get that jump scare, like, hey, and then he's like, oh, all right, hey guys, I found records in a weird book,
which was, by the way, covered with cockroaches.
Yeah.
Just from that standpoint alone, I would have just left it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even go down there in the first place. An earthquake just happened.
If you did, and you cracked open that vault, and you saw a book, and it was covered with cockroaches, just from like a health perspective, you would just be like, maybe not, or at least come back with some gloves.
Yeah, I was a pretty stupid kid growing up. And if an earthquake happened, I would not climb into a tiny hole.
Well, that's not true. The first time you and I met, we actually crawled into a hole following an earthquake.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. Remember that? Because I was like,
yeah,
hey, you like Evil Dead 2? And he's
right.
like, oh, I love that movie.
And
like,
Earl came with us, but obviously Earl died, so
Earl
that's why he's not here.
No.
But yeah, no.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Love you, Earl.
Love you, Earl. But
who's Earl?
Well, he's a friend that we.
I thought Earl had to die. You were making a
Dixie Chicks.
Okay.
So long, Earl.
No, actually, a beam crushed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
But yeah, so the kids head back to the apartment, and the whole time, all I could think about is that pizza's so cold right now. Did you think that too? Were you like, man, that pizza? It's got to be cold.
Well, to me, I was being real cheap in my mind. I was picturing myself going back to the pizza place and being like, "What's this?
What is this?
Like, I'm not eating this."
Yeah, like an earthquake.
Look, you gave it to me like this, sir. I'm pretty sure that happened because of the earthquake.
But yeah, so they head back to the apartment, and that's all I could think about. Like, even in the basement, I'm like, that pizza's getting cold. Like, get up there. Like, your family is waiting to eat that pizza. But so back at the apartment, Danny decides to play the record, or a couple of the records.
Wait, before we get into that part,
yeah,
there is one thing I want to mention. The neighbor, the guy.
Oh yeah,
with the cat.
Yeah, Mr. Fonda.
There was like this point where he's like, she's like, who are you? And she's like, Ellie's sister. And in my mind, I'm just like that. I don't know everybody's name in my apartment. I wish it was just kind of like, I don't know who that is either.
Yeah.
I don't know who Ellie is.
Yeah. I'm Ellie's sister.
I'm not social.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like,
she said it like he should have known, too. She's like, I'm Ellie's sister. He's just like, well, la-di-da. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I wish he did. Mr. Fonda should have done that, because I feel like that's
more concerned
more
about his cat. And he needed the cat because the cat was going to go with him to the Labor Day protests.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
the cat, I guess it's like foreshadowing. It's like, oh, he's always climbing up in that damn vent.
As soon as he said the cat was up in the vent, I'm like, that's coming back.
Yeah, we're coming back to that somehow. But so the Danny decides to crack open the records and start playing some. But before that, he actually tries to open the book, which, mind you, is riddled with like sharp teeth among the edges, and tries to open it, like pry it open with his bare hands, eventually cutting him open, and the blood landing on the book. And once the blood is on the book, that's when the teeth kind of open up
and
the book. Yeah. So.
That's great because all the illustrations were by Alvin Schwartz.
Yeah. It was just like
horrifying photos.
Yeah.
Do you remember those books when you were a kid?
Oh yeah,
they were like some of the scariest looking photos.
Some of it, I was like, I had what's his name, Shel Silverstein, right? I think that's
Shel Silverstein.
Yeah.
Was he the Giving Tree guy?
When the sidewalk ends, the Giving Tree.
Yeah. Like, you know how he would do some art stuff sometimes?
Yeah.
It just felt like it would look like that. I don't know.
Can you call him and get him on the line?
Yeah. Sure.
Can you call Shel Silverstein?
Can you double check? Yeah. So,
what's he doing?
What's he up to? So, Danny, he opens the book, right? And he's like looking through it, and then he's like, wow, look at this sick art, I guess. So he starts playing the records. So with him DJing the hottest tracks of Masses and Priest arguing.
Satan's fat new beat.
Yeah. So, and with the book being open and him, playing those records, eventually Danny unleashes hell upon his family.
Did you find it weird that when they played it backwards, it said Paul is dead?
Paul is dead. He's like, whoa, check that out. I thought it was weird that he actually did a little like wicka wicka.
Yeah,
it's like a church mass, and it's like, we should not open the book. Like that's how they're talking. He's like, wicka wicka.
Wasn't there like a guy who
Like a
yells
little
something?
scratch.
He's like, I don't trust it. It's called the Book of the Dead. Yeah. That's why they call it the Book of the Dead.
That's why it's called Book of the Dead.
Who brought that guy?
I don't know. But I was like, all right, cool.
Hey,
like,
you skipped over a really important thing.
oh, what's that?
Do you remember Bath Time?
Oh,
Movie?
I
Where
forgot
she
about
said that she got bit by a jellyfish,
yeah.
and then she like traumatized her further.
Mm-hmm.
And she pulls out the little rubber ducky,
Yeah.
and then she looked at her and she was like, "Okay, well, I was also attacked by a rubber ducky." Do you remember that part?
You know what? I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I was also very intoxicated on a multitude of medications while I was watching Evil Dead Rise.
What happened was
They actually had to escort me out of the theater.
But yeah, no. So, anyways, DJ Danny unleashes hell upon his family. I guess his hobby just wasn't enough, like of him just already being a terrible DJ. But Ellie,
By the way, what was on that record sounded like it would have been a more interesting movie.
yeah, like people going, "Don't open the book."
And then him going, "Welcome to the Labor Day protest."
yeah, Mr. Fonda. So Ellie, which is Danny's mom, decides to go downstairs to do laundry. After an earthquake, I'm sure the elevator is the perfect thing to take.
I didn't even think about that. It's just like we just had an earthquake, and
It's considered a prime time to do your laundry. Actually,
Yeah, sure.
right after an earthquake, oh yeah, you know what? I gotta get my whites done.
they're new to LA.
yeah, that's
I
true.
like to think so.
Yeah.
They're like, this is our first week.
Probably.
Earthquakes don't happen a lot here, right?
No.
Hey, real story. At one point when I was living out in LA, I woke up to an earthquake.
Did you really?
I did. I woke up, it was 3 a.m, and I felt my apartment shaking.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and I was tired, and I went, huh? Oh, whatever. And I went back to sleep. That's a real thing that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it shake like?
It was like
anything
shaking.
fall off?
It wasn't that intense. It was
yeah.
more like, you ever get like a small shock? Like a small electrocution? Like
Yeah.
It just felt like my apartment was getting
It's just like
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I woke up, and I was just like, oh, there's an earthquake.
Yeah, you just fell right back to
So like I apparently have no survival instincts.
well,
bed.
this family doesn't either. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so on the elevator ride down, evil rises.
Oh my
but
God.
and so the Evil Dead force pretty much grabs her, and we see a cool touch, kind of like a nod to the original Evil Dead, with the tree line coming to life and the branches wrapping around.
Those demons always get so handsy.
Yeah, they do. But this time, they do like an updated version, which is kind of cool, with like the electrical wires of the elevator and some of the cables. Eventually leading to her death / getting possessed. So Ellie is like pretty much the first one to die, the mom. And so when the elevator door opens, they see her, they bring her into the apartment.
And she's amazing.
Oh,
She's like the best part of that
Yeah,
movie. Like,
in
when
my
she's
notes-
in that mode.
yeah, I said like if it wasn't for her, like she carried this movie.
Yeah, she
was like the
good.
backbone
That
of this.
Makeup looked amazing. She was like
just had such
unsettling.
such a gaunt look to her, right? And with all the makeup,
Killer
on
smile.
top of it, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like but she was like the backbone of this movie. I touch on that like later in my notes
Yeah.
too, like how she carried this movie.
There's
she
a
was the
couple
best
points
part.
in my notes that might come. I'll be like, yeah, she's great. And then I'll say a couple things, and then but seriously, she's like really good.
But seriously,
more notes.
really good.
She's amazing.
I know we joke like 90% of the time, but for realness, like she is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is this?
This is the actress who plays Ellie. I forget her name is
It's
Alex.
something. Sutherland. Yeah,
Alyssa Sutherland. Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna be a Monster Mania.
Yeah, I know.
Just
Cherry
take a
Hill.
ride down there.
Yeah.
Devil Wears Prada, Vikings TV show, The Mist,
She's in the TV show The Mist or the movie?
TV series, The Mist.
Thought maybe she played one of those monsters outside.
Yeah.
Special Victims Unit, of course.
Yeah, usually like if you have any type of acting credentials,
You're
Yeah.
gonna be on
yeah,
SVU.
you're like
Yeah.
guy on Subway for the first part of your career.
Yeah, it's so funny because someone was just talking about it. Oh, it was Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana, and her first acting role, like she knew, like that she booked was a Law and Order SVU episode, or maybe Law and Order, and she had to play someone like with a thick Brooklyn accent. She grew up in New York, so she's like, "Oh, do you want this?" And she does it like a perfect, of course, because Zoe Saldana is like
She's amazing.
amazing, one of the
Yeah.
most underrated actresses out there, but one of the like she has like the record for top 3 movies, highest
Avatar.
grossing movies of all time. I've been saying this since like the first
Yeah.
Guardians, that she is like today is like the queen of sci-fi with like Star Trek.
I remember you were always
Avatar.
She's going places.
She's going places, kid. But anyways, yeah, Ellie.
right over a cliff.
Just so you know, we got 2.87 billion for Avatar, 2.8 billion for Endgame, and 2.05 billion for Infinity War.
Wow, holy, yeah,
Oh, and 2 billion for Way of Water.
yeah.
So that's $2.468 billion.
That
Worth
is
of
insane.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, and not even counting, I'm sure like the Star Trek, like J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about
Those
that.
are incredible. The Guardian movies, because those are like the Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame. You know that she was in.
She's probably hurting
So-
some money.
Oh, probably.
You know?
Yeah, she probably is.
Probably
you know,
that
Matt
person
Damon
at the restaurants that's always like, "Can you get this?"
Can you
get the check?
You know what?
I'm falling on hard times. All I have is my Avatar money.
Yeah, I need it.
I think she's gonna make it though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think a couple more SVU episodes. She'll be.
Yeah. She's like, can you get the bill? I actually just used my last 300s rolling them for cigarettes. Like,
I lit $100 bill on fire just now to light
and
it.
smoked it. I didn't even know you smoked. But yeah, so anyways, back
Zoe
to
Saldana.
Saldana. She is money. But yeah, no. So Ellie.
Back to our program.
Yeah, back to Evil Dead Rise. So Ellie dies, and
Spoilers.
we see like the little fly crawling on her eye. Which
Oh,
is kinda
wait.
cool.
Didn't you skipped over her the making eggs thing?
Oh no, not yet. Like, doesn't she come back in the bathtub, right? Or am I wrong?
She like walks into the apartment,
Oh,
and then she starts making eggs, and
then she dies.
her breakfast making skills leave something to be desired.
Yeah.
She's just dropping the eggs
Yeah,
in
she's
there.
like-
There's shells.
And they're sizzling, and they're like, "Ellie, you okay? We just had pizza. Are you hungry again?"
She's like, I'm not eating that.
It's cold.
even in hell, that pizza's rough.
But yeah. So they get her into the bathtub, right? And then she kind of rises up, kind of like Jessica in the beginning of the movie, for the opening title sequence. So she starts coming out of the water, and she goes to attack her family. And what happens? Like, she bites Bridget or something. Bridget gets infected somehow.
I remember she was gonna give her that sweet tat on her face.
Oh, that's right, with the eye, like right into her eye. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she gives her like a little teardrop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
she
right.
doesn't. I'm lying.
She has 3 kills, so she gave her 3 teardrops.
There was a line in it too before all these shenanigans occurred, where she says something. She's like, "I just want to like cut you open and crawl inside of you," or something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a line like that?
To the youngest daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a
Which-
tauntaun, or?
Yeah, exactly like a tauntaun.
I mean, like the movie plays it off like it's weird, but like my mom used to say stuff like that to me all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like before school, she'd be like, "Here's your lunch, PB&J with the crust cut off.
Yeah.
And I want to cut you open and crawl inside of your body."
Yeah, my mom would say, "I just want to cut your face off and wear it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Mom,
First
I
time I
love
met
you
your
too."
mom, she said that to me too. She
She's
was
so
like,
nice.
Yeah, she was so nice. She's like, "I want to cut your face off, wear it, and then hug you,
Yeah.
so that you can learn to love yourself."
And maybe have you hang out in the backyard and decompose. She's a wonderful lady.
Makes me.
But yeah, miss
Yeah.
her. But anyways, so she gets infected, and then eventually they get her where she's locked out of the apartment and in the hallway, right? So Ellie just starts pretty much killing all of the neighbors. There's that cool bit where the eyeball flies out, kind of like Evil Dead 2, into like the one kid's mouth, and he swallows it and dies. Like, well, chokes on it, basically. I thought that was a cool like nod,
Yeah.
throwback. But yeah, so after she infects Bridget actually starts to become possessed at this point, and she ends up killing Danny. Thank God. That kid sucked. Like the whole time, I'm like, just kill him first. Kill him first. Damn it! Like after each neighbor, I'm like, that should have been Danny.
I like when she's looking out the people and all the people getting murdered.
Yeah,
It's just
that
like
was a cool.
It was
Actually,
great.
I
It's
did like that.
If
Yeah.
you're gonna kill anybody, can you make sure they're in my view?
Yeah.
Don't do it too far down the hall that way or down that way.
You just see people like running back and forth. They're like, oh! The best is like Mr. Fondo when he's like backing away. He's like, oh! But
I
yeah,
think I put that in my notes. It says, "Can you just make sure everything happens outside the people?" That would be great.
that would be great. But yeah, so eventually Bridget is stopped. She gets speared through the mouth by Cassie's toy. She called it Staffany, right? I think.
Staffany?
Yeah.
If it's not Staffany, it absolutely should have been Staffany.
I'm pretty sure that was like the joke. She's like, yeah, it's called Staffany, but she like made the staff earlier in the movie with the cut off doll head, and it's like a pretty much like a spear type of thing, and so she impales. Bridget gets impaled through the mouth, right?
And at that point, the phone rings, and it's the dad, and they're like, "Dad, Bridget's dead," and he's like, "Oh, then I'm coming home."
Yeah, finally,
Dad,
Danny and Bridget are gone.
what?
All right, I'll
This
be right
family's
there.
salvageable.
It's time to come back.
Wow, you two drove me away.
Yeah.
You know when they say it's not your fault when your parents get divorced? That doesn't apply to you two.
That doesn't apply to you two at
You
all.
have no idea what it's like living with you. The Labor Day protest, she didn't even invite me.
She didn't even want me to go. But after a bit of fighting in the apartment, Beth and Cassie, they escape to the hallway where they witness Ellie, Bridget, and like Danny, all Deadites at this point, form. They go full Megazord or or Voltron, whatever reference isn't lost on you. But they end up forming this like Deadite Megazord with like 6 arms and legs, and they begin to chase after.
It becomes
Beth and
Resident
Cassie.
Evil Dead.
Yeah, it was weird, right? Like, I understand, like, they try to like foreshadow in the Necronomicon. There's like that one page where you see like the creature with like 6 arms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, that's a cool. I get what they were trying to go for, but it was still. I mean, it's new. Whatever.
Yeah, they're just trying to
put a
milk-
stamp on it. Yeah.
keep
I don't
beating
know.
that dead horse.
Yeah. So it begins to chase after them.
Well, that actually is in my notes. It says Resident Evil Dead.
Yeah. Does it really?
Yeah.
Resident Evil Dead. But yeah, no, it very is. It felt like a T-virus like creation or something, you know, like a weird creature from Resident Evil. But they get to the elevator, and on their way down, the elevator starts to fill up with blood. And then all of a sudden, it just crashes to the basement, the parking garage, right? And normally the blood gets off on a different floor. I wrote that.
You made the Simpsons reference.
I
this
did.
time.
Yes.
Oh, you got me.
So then we get to the final showdown in the parking garage.
But not before they got sued by the Kubrick estate.
Right, exactly. No, because it very much was filmed at like the same angle of it looked like from where the blood kind of just like pours all out of the elevator. But we get the final showdown in the parking lot, and luckily Mr. Fonda has his van there, and within this van there's chainsaws. Well, a chainsaw, even though on the outside it's just, you know, a picture of a chainsaw. Yeah. So that was I don't, was that supposed to be like Evil Dead 2 where he goes into the shed and he looks up and there's like that outline drawn?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know if it was like their clever way of like, here's a chainsaw like located here kind of thing.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess maybe just for the audience to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that was supposed to be like a reference or that was just a lucky thing that happened. Fonda, Mr. Fonda.
Mr. Fonda?
Yeah, because of Bridget Fonda.
Is that the name of
I think it's
the name
a
of his
reference.
company? It's just like Mr. Fonda's Implements.
Yeah, yeah, Fonda's lawn care, I guess. But he also has like a meat grinder in
which
there.
Is like,
or
why is that in the parking garage?
Why is it in his van? I don't get that. That part didn't make sense to me.
I keep running it through my head in all these different scenarios, but it's just so silly.
So they're running around the parking garage, and then they have that final showdown where she gets her hands on a chainsaw, and she's just like going to town on the Deadite Megazord. I don't know what to call that thing, but
that's fine. Deadite Megazord,
yeah,
sounds good to me.
So she's like hacking it up, right? And it's like, and then eventually she turns on the meat grinder, and it starts to push her towards the thing, and then Ellie comes back to normal, and she's like, Beth, I love you, we're sisters. And then she's like, come get some? Is that what she says to her?
Yeah,
and then
she's just like, well, we gotta get that line in there.
Yeah, we gotta get some kind of nod to Bruce Campbell here. So, and so she ends up lobbing her like head off, and like just the meat grinder takes care of the rest of the Deadite Megazord. I
was kind of hoping for a good one-liner, like when she sticks the head in, just be like, heads up, and kick it into the, you know what I mean? Something Bruce Campbell-y.
And so they eventually get into a car, they drive through the fence of the parking garage and just take off. And Beth is like covered in blood. Cassie looks okay. I don't think anything really happened to Cassie, like the little kid in it. But
well, I mean, she definitely has some years worth of future therapy bills ahead of her.
Yeah, and there's like different hints throughout the movie about, like Cassie goes, "You're gonna make a good mother one day because you know how to lie to kids," right? But I think the moral of the story is don't have kids.
No more children. Beth
immediately aborted motherhood after this. She's like, you know what? This is a sign. I'm out of here.
What's gonna happen to me? Yeah. Like, are my kids going to like?
She's like, I'm either getting rid of this baby or adopting it.
You know, that might actually be the lesson of this movie. Everybody should stop having children.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many out there.
Yeah. And the smartest person in this movie was the
father.
I'm
not done with my rant. No,
okay. No, I was just going to say, the smartest person in this movie was the father who abandoned Ellie and the kids for leaving for a pack of cigarettes and deciding not to come back.
Yeah, he probably went back to the apartment and he's just like, wow, it's actually a really good thing I left the family.
Yeah.
I found this other family?
Yeah. I bet this is
They're
really
so
nice
much better.
lady. Yeah.
None of my kids are DJs with this other family.
Right. No one wants this terrible habit.
And we all went to the Labor Day protest together as a family, you know? We weren't just like one person.
One
Which I find
us.
incredibly rude.
Yeah. But the movie actually doesn't end there because it has to tie it up to Jessica and who was the girl possessed earlier in the movie. So they have to tie it up somehow. So Jess, who I guess lived in this apartment building.
Yeah, didn't
Right?
hear like the guns going off or like the shredders.
or the elevator crashing as much as it did, or the earthquake to come out and
She
check
just
it
wakes
out.
up. She's like,
Yeah,
great night's sleep.
I guess she had like no idea what happened last
It's like
night.
Pop and Andean, you know?
Probably, but she ends up getting possessed by the Deadite force, and yeah, and the movie, that's the movie I wish I saw, was the one at the cabin.
Yeah, it's like periodically somebody will ask me how it was, and I'm like, well, it starts off pretty solid, and then there's a good 30 minutes where I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to like this? And then it course corrects, and it gets kind of fun,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think I know it would have been the same old thing, but, you know,
Yeah.
Evil Dead works out in the woods.
Yeah.
In the triangle
it does.
cabin.
It just works there. I understand the apartment building, but at the same time, there was just it was once Ellie gets possessed and that third act is happening, I felt like that movie, I was like, okay, that part I enjoyed, and the opening I enjoyed, but that huge gap in between is such a it's kind of a lot to get through. Even the second time going to see it, I did enjoy it more the second time.
Yeah.
But like the first time going through, I was like, it was okay. Like,
Yeah.
definitely not my pick out of all the different sequels, or even like the original. You know what I mean? I feel like my favorite's Evil Dead 2 out of all the Evil Dead movies.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick the weakest installment so far, it would be this one.
Yeah, it's just that that mother just, you know, like I feel like if she wasn't in the movie, we probably wouldn't. You know.
She is
She did a great
incredible.
job.
Like she definitely is the one that carries this movie. If she wasn't in it, I don't know if I would have liked it as much. That's how great she is in this movie, because the kids, with the exception of Cassie, the youngest,
She was
not really likable.
She was really good.
Yeah.
The only thing I
And
felt
the neighbors didn't really, you know what I mean? I felt like the most connection, I honestly, Teresa, the girl from the beginning, I felt like the most invested into her character.
Which one? The one reading the book?
Yeah. I felt like, even though it's super brief, I was just like, oh, this is an interesting character so far. And then, you know, eventually
She just was
gets
unhappy to be there.
Yeah.
She was
I was
unhappy
like,
to
oh,
be there
okay.
before everything went down. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, what am I doing here?
But yeah, so I don't know. But then the mom, Ellie, Alyssa Sutherland, was phenomenal. She was excellent. And
She looked like she was having a lot of fun.
yeah, I definitely, she was amazing. But so would you recommend this movie to people, or watch it again if you had to?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely, like, not the worst way to kill an hour and a half.
Yep.
I want that on the poster.
Yeah.
It's like,
That should have been the
from
tagline for the
prequels,
poster.
yeah, it's not the worst way to kill an hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't, like, love it. We were talking about this before before the show started.
Yeah.
It's just weird when Bruce Campbell's not there.
Yeah.
He's so likable and fun, and
I
these last two have been a little serious, too serious on my end, but
I don't know if you know this, but one of the voices on the record, I think it's the one who is like, "Don't do it, don't." That's supposed to be Bruce Campbell.
Is it?
Yeah, he's
Oh.
like one of the voices within the recording, and because like there is time travel within the Evil Dead series, because I think those records said they were from like the 1920s or something. There's a possible theory that Ash is the one back in time, like yelling at the priest, like, "Don't use that book."
Do you think that was actual audio of Bruce Campbell yelling, like, "Don't do it," but referencing making more Evil Dead movies? And they just like put it into the movie.
Yeah,
It's like, don't
it's
do
actually
it.
from
They're
the
like, use it.
They're like, "Hey, we want you to make a cameo in this movie. Do you mind giving us like a couple lines maybe we could use for a record?" Don't do it.
Can you just express how you feel about us making this movie? Don't do it.
It's evil.
Can we go back to that the record?
Yeah.
I do like the record.
It was okay.
Did that work for you?
No, not really. I felt like
Was it because the kid doing the wiggy wiggy?
Yeah, he's scratching. I don't know. It didn't like. I don't know. I felt like we've had that used before, right? Where in the original, they're listening to the recording of the professor basically saying, "I read the words out loud," and he like says them, and so we already had that kind of used before, and not even in that, even like the remake has like a little bit of that. So
Oh wait, that wasn't a Bob Dylan album?
no,
Oh.
it was yeah.
Oh, I misinterpreted this movie
Yeah,
entirely.
no. But I just feel like they went to the well too many times on it. So going to again the third time, but they're like, "Oh, we'll switch it up this time," and they're like, "We'll use vinyl records."
You know what would have been really interesting? Just so that we don't ever have to do that again, where somebody's reading the book.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if that kid was like a DJ or something.
Yeah.
If they played it like on the radio, and then it just kind of
opened up to the world. Yeah, that is good. That is a direction I would have loved to see. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't you like to have seen them in like Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Oh my
like,
god!
Oh my god! Open the door, let me in. No, you're a Deadite. Oh my god! No, come on.
Canadian Deadites.
Yeah. Hey, let me in. Anywhere in the northeastern, like New England area, it's like we got a nor'easter out there.
They're possessed down at the harbor. Demons down at the harbor.
A bunch of demons at the harbor. What?
No, that's the movie I want to see.
Yeah. Now we don't have.
Or the movie about the two bank tellers.
Yes.
Living under the. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred, like I said earlier, them at the cabin, like that. Those three, and the friends not showing up.
Not in Boston.
Maybe in the New England area.
That's
where they
bunch
did
of
the
tough
mistake.
tough
They
guys.
went to L.A. Big mistake.
That'd be funny since they're in LA if they played it up more and there was like.
I wish it
one
was
of the
like Training Day meets Evil Dead. Where it's like.
See, like to me, like I wish since it was in Los Angeles, there was a bunch of Deadites trying to like sell scripts.
Oh man,
You know,
that
they're a bunch of hack artists.
they hop in a cab with like a producer, and they're like, "Give me a pitch."
You've got 10 seconds, demon.
I'm gonna give you my elevator pitch in this Uber.
And what's it with you guys? Every single one of you Deadites that pitch a script, it always ends with, and then we swallow their soul.
We swallow soul.
That's just like every.
Another reference. I forgot. They did make that reference in this where Ellie says, "I'm gonna swallow your soul."
Yeah, they also say "dead by dawn."
Yeah,
Dead by dawn.
Dead by dawn. God. But yeah, we don't have a rating system. But if we did, what would you say? This is like maybe middle of the road. Because I wouldn't say I hated it.
Oh no.
But I didn't love it either.
Yeah, it's like it's weird for me. It's like I love the first 3 movies, and then I actually like the show
Yeah.
more than I like the later 2 movies. I really like the remake. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And then this one, yeah, it's probably it's like probably the worst one in the franchise, but it's like, it's not like a bad worst of.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like
I've definitely
embarrassing.
watched
Far
terrible
worse.
movies.
Yeah. Like, no one's shooting Deadites into space yet.
Right. Yeah.
Which, actually thinking about it, would
Maybe
be a
could
pretty
work.
amazing.
Yeah. In space, no one can swallow your soul.
Oh my god, what if there
Right.
was... No one can hear your soul scream.
Yeah. But I guess if I had it, like, I would give this like a sad emoji, no tears, and also and a bashful shy emoji that's smiling.
Like the bashful shy emoji. That's how I would sum this movie up.
Like, you know, it's sad, but at the same, like, not where it makes me want to cry, but just sad installment, right? I don't know.
Do you text with emojis?
Yeah.
So you're big into the emojis. So you're
No,
you're
actually, I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you based your rating system off of emojis.
Yeah, I was like,
wanna
which
clear that.
emoji? No, I actually looked before. I'm like, if I had to give this movie an emoji, what would it be? And I saw this sad one where it's like, with no tears, and I'm like,
But
that's
why?
that's the one.
You know what?
That's
Why-
how it
but
made
why-
me feel that way.
But why did you feel you had to rate this movie with an emoji?
I don't know.
There's so many other things.
I said we don't have a
specifically
rating
this-
system.
Okay.
Wait, can we
Yeah.
just wait? Going forward, can we just rate all the movies
Rate
with
everything with
emojis?
emojis?
With emojis,
Yeah,
perfect.
I love the shy, embarrassed one
Yeah,
because, like,
it's like, oh,
it's like,
oh.
can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Just going forward, all the
I'll send you my emojis later, so when you post this, you can put the emojis next to it, or in the description, you can put those emojis.
Thumbs up, flag of Israel. What the hell?
This is great.
This is getting a little abstract, but that's fine.
I think I get it. But so what? Oh, do you have any? So that wraps this movie up. There were cool Easter eggs throughout. We kind of mentioned most of them, but Danny, the coolest thing about him, he had a Three Stooges poster in his room, which I thought was cool because of the history of the Shemp in Sam Raimi
Dude,
films.
I feel so embarrassed right now because
Yeah.
when you say like Danny, I'm like, which one was he again? I've been having this problem the entire way through this, right? Just keep.
Who's that again?
And which Three Stooges? The original or the remake?
No, they're actually. Oh, yeah, no, it was the originals with Shemp though.
Okay, good.
Instead of
Yeah,
Cohen.
like in the
Yeah.
old Evil Dead movies, they would have like Shimp #1, Shimp. Nice little
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah, and then Fonda's Chainsaws, which is like Bridget Fonda, who was in Army of Darkness. She was Linda.
One of the
Remember-
Lindas.
One of the Lindas.
There's a funny line in the show. He's like, I met my first Linda here.
Yeah, yeah,
Something like that.
Linda here, and then Henrietta's Pizza, and just like little quotes here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, now with that being said, and us coming to the end of the show, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Well, we're doing this live from Three Jacks Burger Bar. Did you
Yeah.
mention that at the front, or did we forget?
No, we didn't.
We didn't?
No.
Oh, yeah, so we'll plug Three Jacks Burger Bar.
Hell yeah.
How about you? You got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, Three Jacks Burger Bar, which is so delicious. I'm gonna
Hey,
piggy
Vince,
tail.
do you want to plug anything?
No, I'm good.
I'm good. No, first off,
Hey, the owner of Three Jacks Burger Bar just walked in.
yeah,
And he's saying, get out. This
Get
is a
out.
place of business.
this is private property. Get out of here.
This is a place of business.
How'd you guys get in here? No, but I'm just piggybacking off yours. No, I do want to give a shout out to our engineer / producer, Vince. Vince, thank you so much for hooking us up, doing all the sound, making it happen.
Well, let's hope that I can actually record it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
What are you
Luckily,
guys-
I do have my notes.
What are you guys going to review next time?
Well,
Oh,
real
we're
quick,
not sure.
personally, I would like to not thank Vince.
Okay, fair.
Just wanted to put that out.
Yep.
Do you know what you guys are gonna do next time?
Well, that's an interesting
'Cause maybe
segue.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're just listening to our mad ramblings.
I'm texting him last time, like, what are you guys talking about? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I was like, well, I wanted to know, but okay.
It'd be amazing if he's like, I just watched Marry Me.
Yeah. We should just make that an ongoing joke. We just never tell Vince what we watch. And he's just like, God damn it.
Pretty sure that was Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to start doing a thing. We have an account you can send requests to if you'd like. We have it's the Frequel Podcast at gmail.com. That's FREAKUUELPODCAST at gmail.com for those of you who are too stupid to know how to spell on your own. But like we actually just got an email.
Did you really?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, we
Get outta
did.
here.
No, check it out. It's
Let's
actually
let's read it here right
it's
now.
actually from me.
Oh.
That's just one I wanted to ask you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So there's 3 questions actually.
Okay.
Number 1, why have you been spending so much time with my wife lately?
Okay. Well, there's a long logical explanation
Okay.
to this. So next question.
All right. So when you run into my wife, what's with the open mouth kissing?
Because of COVID, that is just a way I greet everyone now.
It doesn't track.
I feel like now that we're over the hump of COVID, I just feel like that is the way I want to embrace people and show love.
Last question. My son looks remarkably like you.
Oh, right. That's all the time we have for today. Let's
I just feel like we should probably talk about this.
let's talk about that. No, guys, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. I'm EJ, and of course,
Oh, I have a name?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not Danny.
I'm Rory.
But guys, thank you so much.
Please, let us know how you feel. You want to send us an email for some movie requests. And if you guys want to join us at the Labor Day protest, we're going to be there with our favorite black shirts on.
Yep. And thank you guys so much. And thanks again to Vince for helping us out.
And no thank you for helping us out, Vince. I just wanted to...
Go to hell.
And with that, guys, go to hell.
Go to hell, everybody.